What's good, LL Nation? Lucky Lefty Podcast. I'm your boy, SD2 Mikes, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire, with special guests today, Coach Carl Reed and Coach Reed Live, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You can catch him on the block as a college football analyst, 247 Sports each and every day. I think you guys take 4 days a week, Coach?
Yeah, Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday, they take Friday off to rest up. Is that schedule going to stay the same when you get into season?
I'm not sure, man. I don't make that decision. They just tell me when to get on there. I get on there. So when they let me know, I'll let you know.
So you guys, man, go lock in with Coach Reed.
Yeah, go check
Man, he's
out.
a fantastic follow on TikTok. If you have TikTok, fantastic follow. Coach, we want to jump into the elephant in the room with all of this expansion going on. Seems like we're headed to 2 super conferences. College football playoff contract isn't up until 25. Ultimately, do you see it going that way, kind of being like a pro model AFC, NFC? Or do you think some of these other smaller conferences have a chance to kind of combine and make another conference?
Well, in order to make it that type of model, the NCAA would have to be involved to steward and lead that. And the NCAA has not shown really yet any real involvement in it. The conferences are acting with their own independent interests at stake. And the way that they're moving based on what it's going to take to win in the current model. So if you look at what the SEC has done, they've been the dominant conference, and they've had 2 teams in the playoffs multiple times. But what the Big Ten just did by adding SC and UCLA and trying to get Notre Dame is they're trying to put them in the position where they can get the other 2 teams, right? So now what happens to everybody else? You have to look at a team like Clemson, who has won multiple national championships. You would think anytime they're undefeated, they're going to be in the mix, right? So what happens to the Big 12, the old Pac-12? They become what we would call the lightweight division, all right? And so it's still competitive football played, but the Big Ten and the SEC have made a conscious decision to separate themselves from everybody else.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. We have Coach Carl Reed on with us today. We're featuring Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. We got to get Coach a bottle, Malik.
Hey,
give me a bottle of that good whiskey out here, man.
Hey, I know they like bourbon out there, man. So I gotta set you up right.
Yeah, get me together.
By the way, you talk about this super conference thing. Do you think it makes it more competitive for colleges? Let's say they do a super conference like the NFL, AFC, NFC kind of thing. Do you think that would change the recruiting for these schools that aren't competing on a level of championships every year?
Yeah, it would just make them more of a mid-major situation, right? There's only a handful of players who are good enough to play at their top level anyway. So there's still going to be plenty of players to go around for those schools. What you have a small block of schools who want to compete at the absolute highest level, and they're driving the business because they drive the revenue, they drive the entertainment factor, they drive the attendance, and so everybody else is trying to keep up. Everybody in the Big Ten and everybody in the SEC is not competing for national championships. They don't have those kind of programs. You're talking about a small group of guys, but they are committed to having a great experience for their student athletes.
Coach, as we move forth, we had Brady Quinn on last week, and his affiliation with Fox. He kind of hinted to the fact that there might be a package out there of exclusivity with Notre Dame to make a deal with Fox without getting to a conference affiliation, possibly. Contract for NBC doesn't run out for another 2 years. I think CBS and the SEC ends after the 23 season. As Notre Dame sits today, do you see them being in a situation where they can afford to be patient and kind of anticipate how things are going to play out?
Yeah, Notre Dame can do whatever it wants to do because it's Notre Dame. They the draw, right? They don't have to be rushed into anything. The Big Ten wants them. The ACC also wants them, and then they also can weigh out their individual options in terms of TV contracts with Fox and whoever else has a situation for them. They don't have to feel rushed or pressured. If they pick up the phone and say we're coming, they're gonna say okay, and then they can work those terms out. You have to come in and know you're Notre Dame. You one of the flagship institutions in college football. What they have to decide though, is it the money or do you want to compete for a national championship? Because if you do stay as an independent, you are putting yourself potentially in a situation where you're not going to be in the national championship mix because you're not going to even have the games to schedule against the premier teams. Because what these conference mergers are doing is they're going to put their teams in a position where they're going to be playing a maximum amount of conference games. And so that could leave Notre Dame out. But I will tell you this, Notre Dame has been an independent and they've been just fine. I'm sure their leadership knows exactly what it is they're trying to accomplish, but those are the decisions that have to be made. But if I'm Notre Dame, I'm telling you what I'm going to do. You're not telling me what I'm going to do.
And that's exactly what I was thinking as well. Notre Dame has a lot of the leverage. And like you said, we're the draw. We're pulling the entertainment factor, I believe, for the college football schedule. I mean, even being on the Notre Dame team, we've had more night games in one season than most colleges in 4 years. So with that leverage also, I don't think that these schools or these conferences could keep us out of the playoffs, even if we decide to be independent, due to the fact that you're not going to continue to have college football without Notre Dame being in the midst, as good as we've been doing recruiting and consistent these last couple of years anyway. So I think it's hard to keep us out, but we also might lose a little value. Just like Ohio State literally pulls the whole Big Ten on his back, we will be pulling Ohio State on our back and have all the rest of the Big Ten. So it'll be interesting to see what a conference could really offer as a package for us to even be in the conversation with joining.
What you have to, what it always is going to come down to also is how good is your team, right? If Notre Dame is undefeated and they have a roster full of future NFL guys and they look to be like a premier team, I'm sure that they can find their way in that playoff conversation even as an independent. But it's really going to boil down to that. How good are you? Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, they have shown that they can consistently put a high-level product on the field and that they can win and play for national championships. If Notre Dame can do that, they'll be fine. They just have to decide what's best for them. And sometimes, and what you find out most of the time is what I believe is best for me, everybody else in the country may not agree with that. But I don't care about everybody else in the country. I care about South Bend, Indiana, and what I feel like is best for Notre Dame. And that is the task that the Notre Dame administration has to do what they think is best for them. They shouldn't care about any conference or any other program right now. They should only be looking at what's best for the University of Notre Dame.
Coach, what's the best thing that you're hearing about Marcus Freeman and his coaching staff on the recruiting trail right now?
Well, I don't have to hear about it because I've experienced it. You know myself. Marcus Freeman is relentless when it comes to recruiting. He is an incredible talent evaluator. He's an excellent relationship builder. And he has shown with the addition lately of Christian Gray from St. Louis and many other guys that he signed, that he also can close. So I think that his presence is being felt and that he's doing an excellent job on the recruiting trail.
Now, they've done a great job with the 24 class, and you can answer this as carefully as you want to. But we've been talking about this for the past week or so, and we really just want to get someone that's outside the situation to give us their input on the situation. In your opinion, the entire situation of CJ Carr, him coming in, reclassification rumors and everything, and the stuff about Dante Moore, is that just par for the course in recruiting? Or was that a situation where even you were like, yo, wow, what's going on?
So I'm not too familiar with what happened with them in terms of reclassifying. Can you kind of give me a rundown a little bit?
Well, we can't substantiate everything. We can only talk about what had been reported. He committed to the University of Notre Dame. Immediately after he committed, publications put out that Notre Dame was no longer looking to recruit Dante Moore. And there are also rumors out there that CJ Carr would be reclassified. And then now you see the buzz in the news around Dante Moore to Oregon. And when you hear something like that around a quality quarterback and a program like Notre Dame, is that something that makes you say, or is that just par for the course in recruiting?
It's just the recruiting business. I don't look at it. I don't look at it with anything. I don't look at it with any veracity at all, because so many things happen in recruiting that people don't know about. The 98% of the people that are following college football from a fan standpoint don't really understand what's really going on in recruiting. From a relationship standpoint, from the different factors that are involved. So dealing with recruiting is very fluid, and things change every day. And the only thing that you can be sure about is that something crazy is going to happen soon.
Now, what do you think about, there's some criticism. There's been a lot of things put out there about people not liking the way Notre Dame is handling the NIL situation, convincing guys they don't need it, supposedly telling guys that they'll handle it when they get here. They don't need independent agents. How do you think, or what do you think of the process of the way Notre Dame has treated it, and how the nature of these athletes are becoming bigger brands and having independent guys watch over their stuff?
Notre Dame is doing what's best for them. And I think that's life, and that's business. Notre Dame. So what you have to understand is that if a kid is going to Notre Dame, he's looking for something different anyway than what the normal player is looking for. He's looking at life a little bit differently. If he's choosing to go to Notre Dame. Now, what everybody has to understand is if NIL is very important to a kid, then Notre Dame may not be the option for him, right? And so it really comes down to what's the most important thing for the kid. Me personally, I feel like a kid should be looking at his opportunity to play in the NFL and his opportunity to be educated, because the NIL money is not as significant as some people think that it is, or that's being reported at times. But I don't begrudge Notre Dame for handling NIL the way that they are. I think that it's their right to do that. And it's also the players' right to have fair representation based on what's going on in the market right now. Kyle Hamilton was a guy who got some quality NIL deals. He was represented by Athletes First, and David Mulugeta. So those situations present themselves. It's all about choices. And if you want to handle things a certain way, that's fine. But everything ain't for everybody, right? So when you make a decision on how you're going to handle it, you have to be able to deal with the outcome on both sides of it.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. Once again, Coach Carl Reed, 247 Sports, on with us, talking NIL right now. As we expand upon the NIL conversation, it's very interesting that, people are either on both sides of this thing. Coach, this is my first cycle covering for a publication. I came in January. And the more I talk to these kids, the more I realize that their decision is really very similar to the decision I made when I decided where I wanted to go to school, minus athletics. I mean, as 17-year-olds, they think about some of the same things that I thought about, like what do the dorm rooms look like? What is the dining hall like? These are some of the same things that I took into consideration when I made the decision to go 100 miles away down to Champaign. So when you take Christian Gray and you look at the decision he had to make between Coach Steeples and the family that he felt like, in the atmosphere he felt like he had in Notre Dame, how difficult is that? Just because I think a lot of times fan bases just get upset, especially when their program is not chosen. But this is a very difficult process with high anxiety on 17 and 18-year-olds.
I think that in Christian Gray's standpoint, I don't think it was difficult for him at all. I got opportunity to see him the day before he made his announcement, and he told me what he was going to do, and so I knew going in. And he's a very thoughtful and educated young man. He has a very thoughtful and educated mother, and he had some things that he wanted to accomplish both on and off the field, and Notre Dame provides him with those opportunities. And he does have a great relationship with Coach Steeples, and that won't change. Coach Steeples is a quality human being. Their relationship will not change because he chose Notre Dame over LSU. But what you also have to look at is the way that this business is. There's no guarantee that Coach Steeples would even be the coach halfway through his career. Coach Steeples is a rising star. He'll be a defensive coordinator somewhere soon. He'll be a head coach somewhere at some point. You know, he didn't finish Christian Gray's career as his high school coach. So those things all have to be considered. And when you really sat down with Christian and you looked at everything that he wanted out of a program, Notre Dame provided that for him, and that's why that decision was made.
Now, explain this new recruiting schedule, because I think we're starting to see a lot of commitments come in because a lot of young men know that the dead period is getting ready to come upon us going into the fall. Talk about that. Explain to the fan base how things have changed, because, you know, it used to be that second Wednesday in February that everybody geared up for. But now we have this schedule now that's a little bit different.
Well, you know, number one, you had an early signing period, so that changes everything. And with the early signing period, official visits happen now in June and July instead of in October, November, December, and January as much. So at this point, if you're a Division One guy, your recruiting is pretty much over going into your senior year. It's very rare now that a guy will go into his senior year as an unknown and have a great year and earn a scholarship. Mostly everybody's going to be tied in. And if you don't make a commitment somewhere, there's a great chance that you're going to run out of places that you can go, that you want to go. And it's probably 10 or 15 players in the country every year who can take their time and kind of wait it out. But for the most part, guys are really having to bump their decisions up. And there's some positives and negatives to a situation like that.
And we look at it from a Dante Moore's perspective. He's one of those top 15 guys that can take his time. But through this same process, a lot of these schools are getting quarterbacks committed as well. So it's almost dwindling the options that you can even go to. I'm sure they would take you, but you putting yourself in a tough position, you know, like Jaden Rashado, who committed to Miami along with another top quarterback down there. I believe due to the NIL, but Miami could just be trying to stock talent through these new NIL deals.
Well, I think that Miami is so. If you look at the University of Miami, I think they are also doing what's best for them. They have a different situation to offer kids, you know, that attracts to what they're going on down there. I think in Dante Moore's case, from a quarterbacking standpoint, most quarterbacks are going to transfer anyway when they don't start. You know, so a quarterback now in this market, in this day and age, is going to probably be going through recruiting at least twice. You know, so you want to really play that out. And quarterback recruiting is so different than every other position because if the OC leaves, then man, it could change everything about your situation. So you kind of tie in and see what's best for you also. The problem that everybody has with recruiting is that when the kid does what's best for him, it usually doesn't align with what other people think he should do. Or what if this was my son, we would do it this way. Well, your son ain't one of the best football players in the country. So you'll never have to worry about that situation. You'll never experience this. And if he was, you would slow down and look at all your options and do what's best for him. These kids have the right, they've earned the right to do what it is that they want to do. and people have to respect that.
Yeah, and that's hard fan bases and college football fans to really wrap their heads around. Like, everyone wants a commitment from these kids. They want it, especially at the quarterback position, because if you can get a quarterback commit, it really is a domino effect for the rest of the class. And we saw that with Texas and Arch Manning. Once he committed, you saw them just start rolling in and gaining commitments immediately. So I'm very interested in, because you do a great job educating young men and women on scholarships, what to look for, and how to go about handling their recruiting. If we indeed go to these super conferences, what impact will it have on recruiting, and will that change the way some young men and some young women have to look at how things are handled?
No, because what it'll do is it will become a reality check for a lot of kids, because some of them will find out that they don't belong at their top level, right? So it will become a separator. When you're in an environment where the coach is going to get fired if he loses, he can't mess around with you, right? And so it's going to more or less streamline the business of football, the business of sports, period. If you got a guy that's making $5-6 million a year, he's just not in a position, right, to screw around with you and your nonsense. You have to be focused and you have to be ready. And most importantly, you have to contribute. And what the kid and the parents have to understand is, if you go to the top level, if you go to one of the top 10 or 15 schools in the nation, if you don't produce, you out of there. Like, you're gone. You're not going to get your degree from there. You're not going to be allowed to be a placeholder on the roster. It is really a professional model, and they're gonna move on if you're not able to contribute. So the biggest thing that it's going to do, in my opinion, is it's going to separate the pretenders from the contenders. In terms of the players, and you have to be special, and you have to have a special mindset to even want to put yourself in an environment that's competitive. But the great ones, they want to be in there, showing that they belong.
Where do you think recruiting is headed now that you're seeing the champion every year is continually being a historic team? Georgia, historic team, all the top rounders in the first round. LSU, amazing season, historic team. Alabama, the year after, amazing season, historic team. In recruiting, what is it going to take for these schools to get to that level? Or is it literally the gap is widening between the block of schools that want to win and the schools that want to give good experiences?
It takes two things that most schools do not have. It takes a tremendous amount of chemistry and synergy from a dynamic coach and an administration that is vertically aligned with the coach. Right? Guys like Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Dabo Sweeney, Kirby Smart, they don't grow on trees, right? And in addition to them being the best of the best, they also have complete alignment from their administration and their university. There are also a handful of other great coaches who do not have that type of alignment from their administration. So you can't do one without the other. So if you're a top tier prospect and you're looking at Alabama or Clemson or Georgia, you know that you can get exactly what you need out of those situations. So if you have a kid that the NFL is his goal, he's best positioned to go to the NFL if he chooses one of those places. That's the truth. You taking a chance in any other situation. And so people will say, well, when it comes draft time, there are some guys from smaller schools that make it. Well, they worked out their circumstances that they were in, and they were successful. But if you're a can't miss guy, then you probably would want to go somewhere where you know that they can get the job done. If you were trying to be a world champion fighter, you would probably want to go learn from Floyd and Mike Tyson on how to fight, because you know that they can show you what you need to do. and you don't have a lot of time to take chances.
As Marcus Freeman and his staff embark on their first game in their first season, you talk about the development of the staff and how they've done on the recruiting field or in the recruiting landscape. But what's the most important thing as a head coach coming into a program like Notre Dame? What's the most important thing that Marcus Freeman is going to be able to use to make sure that he gets over the obstacles? Because he's going to face some obstacles in his first season. He's going to make some decisions that don't go the right way. Talk about some of the key elements of his personality and his style of coaching that are going to allow him to be successful and overcome those things.
Well, your personality doesn't really matter, right? There's a lot of guys that win that are real assholes. And there's a lot of nice guys that lose all the time. All right. The bottom line is you have to win. This is what this is about. You have to win. And winning ain't going 8-3. Not at Notre Dame. Winning is being in the hunt every year for a national championship. It's the expectations. So if you win, people are going to love you. And if you lose, that they're not. You have to understand this. Winners all have the same qualities. All right. The guys who lose are all different, but the guys who win are all the same. All right. And so winners have certain qualities, and Marcus Freeman does have those qualities. And now he's going to have to go out there on Saturday afternoons and show the world that he was the man for the job.
Did you get a chance to check out Chet Holmgren last night, Coach?
No, I didn't get to see it, but I saw on social media it was going crazy. I was at my son's practice last night.
Chet was out there cooking in the old number 7 of OKC with the KDs on his feet.
How much do you think it's important that Marcus Freeman, like you said, it's not good enough to go 8-3? Is that a disadvantage for a first-year coach, a first-year head coach, and let alone his position going into a situation where Ohio State can really determine a lot about your future in a short term, depending on how it goes?
Nobody that's making 30, 40, $50 million is at a disadvantage in anything.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
You know,
Thanks.
It's like Hyman Roth told Michael Corleone in The Godfather, this is the life we chose.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You
know, you wanted the money, you wanted the stage, just win, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's all it is. How important is it to get a elite quarterback, though? Because, we always talked about 2 models of doing it. You can do it the model of Georgia and fast food process, get your 5 stars every which position and put the roller product out there. Or you can be a quarterback-driven model like a Clemson that has gotten generational guys that have pulled their teams through the years of winning, and it's also attracted great talent that comes along with it. What do you think is the best model to go on winning a championship?
If you have a great quarterback, you're going to make it a lot easier on yourself.
Yes,
right? And so if you don't have a great quarterback, you have to ask yourself, is your defense going to be as generational as Georgia's defense was, right? Georgia had a generational defense. And if you can put a defense like that on the field, then you can win regardless of who the quarterback is. But, I mean, I haven't seen many guys be able to put a defense like that on the field. So I'd try to go get me a great quarterback. I wouldn't be dependent on whether or not I can have a first rounder at every single position on the defense.
Coach, let them know where they can find you each and every day.
You can find me on all social media platforms at Coach Reed Live. If you DM me and holler at me, I have a conversation with you. I'll make some time for you. If I really like you, I'll give you my cell phone number.
The last question I got one more question, Coach, because this is important. We just talked about why it's important to have a quarterback for a championship team. But why is it so hard for some schools, to be a championship team because they can't get the quarterback. What is hard about recruiting that generational quarterback to your school?
Number one, recruiting and winning is hard, period. That's number one. And so you're only talking about, I think, maybe 8 schools that have a realistic chance every year to win a national championship. That's number one. Number two, it's not that many guys who know how to coach the quarterback position, because you still have to coach and develop that guy once you get them. And most people can't do that. They think they can, but they can't. You know, Coaching is one of those things that everybody thinks they can do, but when you really put them to the test, most of them will fail, right? So it's tough, man, and it's not just X's and O's. It's mental, it's motivation, it is making a kid believe in himself. Do you know how much pressure it is? And when a guy is playing in front of 100,000 people, and if he makes a mistake or throws a pick or makes a bad throw, by the time he leaves the field and turns his cell phone back on in his locker room, he has death threats. He has all kind of people telling him that he's no good. It's a hard mental thing. So there's a lot that has to go right. And as a coach, you have to have the vision to get a kid what he needs to be successful. And most guys don't even know what they need until it's too late.
Coach Carl Reed at Coach Reed Live 247 Sports. You can find him Monday through Thursday on the block. Coach, thank you for joining us today, man. We'll get at you right before the season. Enjoy the rest of your summer, man. Just try to stay away from those little thuggers up there.
You got to, man. We got to be safe out here in St. Louis. All right, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yo, that's Coach Carl Reed. Fantastic guest for us each and every time he joins us. Breaks down things from recruiting to recruiting numbers, scholarships. He's a fantastic resource that we love to use. And it's good for someone outside of the Notre Dame landscape to say, or good to hear someone say, Notre Dame doesn't have to do a darn thing. You muted, bro.
They don't, and that's what makes it so hard for me to believe that, one, we're in any rush, and two, that what is the value for us to even be in the conference? I don't believe that college football, the NCAA, is going to keep Notre Dame out of the chance to have playoff contention if they don't join the conference, because we do everything ourselves. Like we said yesterday, we're the Dallas Cowboys of college football. And the only reason why the Dallas Cowboys are still a part of the NFL is because of the draft. If it wasn't because of the draft, the Dallas Cowboys can be their own sports entity and make money and be just fine. I think the hardest thing for these conferences to do with Notre Dame is to convince them that they need to be a part of this. It can't be about money, because if it was, we would have joined a long time ago.
Facts.
So you're not getting us with the cash, which is 99% of the reason why other schools would probably do it. We're already a legendary program standalone. We're not a legendary program because we're in the Big Ten. We're not a legendary program because we're playing Alabama in the rivalry game every year. We're an independent, standalone, money generating, don't need nobody type of team.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's just hard to convince somebody of that stature to join a conference full of teams that can't carry their own weight, ain't relevant every year, and are just buffers to the one or two teams that are the best in that division or conference. So for us, I just stand on the side of, we either make our own conference and we choose what teams we want in there and call it the Champions League. And if we just get a conference full of 13 teams of the baddest teams out there, because like Coach Reed said, there's only like 8 or 9 teams that are even in contention anyway.
Right.
So let them have their own conference. And then you have the good Christian conference. And then you got the Champions League, and then Notre Dame can pick the Alabama, Clemson, Ohio States. And then every couple years, if a team does better, they can switch conferences or something. But I just don't think we'll gain any value by joining a conference. I'm not gonna say we don't need no money. Everybody needs money.
Everybody needs money.
I don't think that they have enough money for us because essentially you're going to be buying the brand. And I think our brand just doesn't fit well.
It's much bigger than TV money.
Yeah, it's bigger than a TV contract or a dollar amount in a sense. Because essentially that would be Big Ten owning the Notre Dame brand. And that's 16% on anything ND license. And that's expensive.
Facts. And then you think about what people are predicting as far as the players eventually coming after the TV money or a piece of the TV money because of name, image, and likeness. Now, how do the super conferences react to that moving forward as well? How does that impact recruiting? There's a lot out there swirling around, man. And as we like to say, just going to have to let it play out. But Notre Dame is in position where they can show some patience and not worry about what everybody's doing right now. Let's see. I'll get to a couple of questions, man. You guys forgive my I'm stuffy. Probably hopped up on NyQuil. It's a long night. Man, bro. It's not good when you wake up with the chills, bro.
Oh, you're going under the weather a little bit, huh?
I don't know if it was something I ate, but I felt like, I got dumped in an ice tub.
Maybe it's just the seasons changing or something,
I have no clue. I have no clue, Keith. Keith, man, we thank you for your support. Man.
I just know that ain't too many places Dante can go now, and Oregon Notre Dame is still up there. So even if he don't got Notre Dame in his top, it's in his top because where else he gonna go?
Let's talk about Jaden Greathouse, man. Decision coming on the 15th, bro.
In 9 days.
Very, very, very talented. Like if you're looking at his film and you want to see a burner, but if you want to see somebody, man, his releases off the ball at this point, it's like, man, it's bananas. Bananas. And the fact that he's catching balls from Cade Klubnik over the last 2 years goes to your point. Like great wide receivers want to go to places where they believe in the quarterbacks. And based upon the intel you gave yesterday, there are a lot of people around the program and in the 23 class that are happy with Tyler Buckner.
Yeah, and I think that's just what we have to live on and ride with going into this season, especially this summer camp. Is building that TB train as much as we can because going into Ohio State is not going to be an easy environment for a first-year guy that's going out there and it's his team. So the hopes is to at least him or Drew command the team where we can feel as a fan watching it that we got a guy running the show. And for TB, man, I mean, everything's laid out in front of you as best as you could want it. From a position in college football, you've Notre Dame quarterback for at least 2 years, provided you do your job. And I think with that excitement, it's easy for a guy to have a easier natural progression of getting better each game where he's not looking over his shoulder and he can feel confident and the staff has confidence in him. And I just know that it's a talent, it's a well-thin line between messing this up and then doing really well. So I think the addition of great guys like Jaden Greathouse on a team where we kind of need a bona fide receiver to stand out like a Kevin Stephenson style.
Yep.
I think he can fill that role because he can play inside and out. And he looks like one of those Chris Olave comfortable targets that a Tyler Buckner could really use.
You know what's crazy? I was looking at DraftKings 2023 to 2022-23 win totals. You can get Notre Dame at 8.5 right now, bro, for the over.
Easily.
They love giving money away when it comes to Notre Dame and these win totals, man. 8.5.
We'll get 8.5. No, I had us at 9 and 10. But Tyler Buckner got to win 2 games this year.
Has to. And we talked about
Has to. If he can win 2, we damn near in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He just got to win 2 games where it's like, man, Tyler Buckner, I'm glad we got him on our team.
Yeah, this is a sleeper.
We got to say that this season twice.
Yeah. If you are into win totals, buy Illinois. Buy Illinois. Dude, look, man. Illinois went up to Penn State and won last year. They were competitive, especially later in the season. Brett Bielema is quietly loading up on every country-fed boy other than Charles Jagasaw in the state of Illinois. So that offensive line, that running attack, Big Ten, if they get any type of decent quarterback play, average, they're going to be able to sneak out 5 wins. Because the over-under.
I'm hold you to it now. Y'all not even the most popular orange and white team. That's Syracuse.
You're being a little bit disrespectful right now. That's a little bit. Being a little bit disrespectful, but I'm going to let you have that.
Wait a minute. Syracuse is nice.
I'm going to let you have your father. Syracuse is nice at what? Lacrosse?
Their basketball is nice. And their football is right where y'all at, for real. They have up and down seasons.
So Syracuse basketball program is in a better place than Illinois right now? The fact that you're taking that long.
No. Y'all, okay. Illinois is on the come up because y'all got my guy Sky Clark. That's y'all savior right there.
I appreciate that. Syracuse is going to continue to decline until they get rid of Boeheim, bro. It's time, dude. Every other big time coach read the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
This cat Jim Boeheim is just.
Hey, Roy Williams did it, and look what happened. They went to championship the next year.
Man.
But he killed a guy, so I don't think they can ever get they can never get him out of there. He knows some things.
Dude, look. The questions that come from Notre Dame, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to see. First and foremost, as Coach Carl Reed said, you can get the talent, but that talent still has to be coached and developed. And that's what guys like Dabo, Nick Saban, it goes beyond them just getting the talent. They develop you. And that's one of the biggest draws for the top talent around the country each and every year. They go to those schools knowing that they're going to be developed and have a path to the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, Marcus Freeman is also in a good position where he can put himself in that conversation because of where he's at. You know, a couple good seasons under your belt at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You can position yourself. You already got your future quarterback in the stable. You working with a guy right now that the coaches like. I mean, you know, situational football is what it's going to come down to for Marcus Freeman.
Yeah. Hopefully we get some games that are blowouts. You know.
Toledo, Marshall, Cal.
Yeah, and we don't have to sweat those things. Yeah. Thank you to Mike Sullivan who taps in. He says Purdue is going to win 10 games. The over-under is 7.5, Mike. So if that's what you believe, go ahead and put $10 down.
I don't believe
let's see. They start off with Purdue. They start off with Penn State, then Indiana State at home. Then they go to Syracuse, which is funny. Florida Atlantic comes to Purdue. Then the first true, because I think Penn State's going to beat Purdue. That's just my opinion. I think Penn State, a lot of people are sleeping on Penn State this year. And the reason I say that, the young talent they had, go watch how competitive that Ohio State game was at the Horseshoe with Penn State. The only difference is, dude, Sean Clifford is Sean Clifford, right? Like Sean Clifford isn't getting any better, bro. Like he's not about to be a different quarterback. He's not about to become, a Big Ten Player of the Year. Sean Clifford is Sean Clifford. But let's keep it a buck. If Sean Clifford doesn't get hurt in that Iowa game, they probably blow Iowa out because they dominated that game. And you know it because you just really thought Iowa was cold last year.
Iowa's a team you just don't want to play. I'm not saying they're a great team. That's just a team you don't want to play.
So they go to Minnesota. That's a tough game. At Maryland. Nebraska comes to Purdue. They go to Wisconsin.
I think Nebraska will have more success than Purdue this year.
Really?
They're just due. They're due as a traditional franchise, well, not franchise, a traditional school program where it's about that 20-year period that rolled around again.
Yeah.
They're going to pop with Scott Frost over there.
At some point, you would think?
I think it's this year. I mean, I don't know if it's this year, but I think they'll do better than Purdue this year.
Yeah.
Because a lot of their games, they lost by what? Like less than 3 points? Most of their games, it was like 3 and 7, but most of their losses were by less than a touchdown.
Yeah. 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 But, I mean, I'm with that. The over-under 7.5 for Purdue. I don't know about 10, but I definitely think they can get to 8 games. Especially with that schedule. That schedule is like super mid. They don't play Michigan. They don't play Ohio State.
Yeah, they ain't got no games this year.
Yeah, the biggest games are Iowa and Wisconsin, man. Only difference is Purdue will always end up losing to like a Northwestern or an Illinois.
Because I mean, you playing that many average teams, you're gonna play down to your competition eventually.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like you're gonna be like, damn, we struggling versus who?
What do you think about Oregon at 8.5?
Look, they with USC and UCLA getting out there, Oregon may be in a standalone, because they always gonna get recruits.
Yeah.
So you take all the competition away. Who's the most attractive team in the Pac-12 once USC is gone?
Yeah. I got another one I would go buy right now. Tennessee at 7.5. I'm about Tennessee at 7.5. I think the next step in the progression of that offense, I think Hendon Hooker, who took a step from the quarterback he was at Virginia Tech, I think he takes another step. They got some more talent coming in from JUCO, especially at the wide receiver and running back positions. It's going to be about that offensive line and the defensive line, the trenches. That's really what it's going to come down to for Tennessee, because they have talent, and Josh Heupel can play call. He can play call.
It's gonna be interesting. I want to see what they do over there with Hendon Hooker, and like you said, they made it sort of competitive with Georgia in the first half. So they got
sort of.
They got play calls, but Hendon Hooker's got expectations this year. So if he meets that expectations, I'll take that. Bet.
Yeah, I actually watched the first half of Utah and Ohio State from the Rose Bowl this morning. And I really, halfway through said, you know what? I have to throw this tape out. It's a totally different, I might get more from watching Oklahoma State. Yeah, I might get more from watching Oklahoma State than watching that Rose Bowl defensively, because, that system is pretty much the system Ohio State's going to be running. So if that's the case, then, if they want to come out and go bump and run, like Oklahoma State chose to do,
we're running the ball.
Yeah. Mark Freeman's been very clear about that.
We're going to run the ball and run it on expected runs.
Running on expected runs.
It's 3rd and 3. We're running the ball.
Now, I'm very interested in Tommy Rees and how he's going to use. One thing Utah did do is they will wait, and right before the snap, the running back would take off to the flat. And it took Ohio State maybe a full quarter and a half to figure out that they're not throwing a swing pass. They just want that linebacker out the box. That's all they want. Take that dude out the box. We're about to run this ball, quarterback keepers, or we're opening up the middle for the short pass. So Cam Rising and watching that game reminds me of the abilities that Tyler Buckner does have, though. I will say that.
You're going to see a lot of quarterback Tyler Buckner runs early in the first half because he's got a little bit of speed. He runs kind of tough. He's going to get comfortable early on. Hopefully that'll set up that same formation and we throw the ball deep.
Yeah.
But Tyler Buckner's going to have his day full of running and throwing for sure.
Yeah.
But that means Tyler Buckner's just going to have to be the man. Like, I just think that's a lot to ask of a kid.
That's what it's coming down to, right?
He's just going to have to be that guy. I don't think there's a way to avoid it by trying to put it off on being a distributor. I think the games he has to win, being the first one for sure, he's going to have around 100 plus running and throwing. He's going to have to.
Yeah.
Because I don't solely believe in his arm enough to beat Ohio State.
I mean, not just dropping back.
Yeah, no.
I see Will had a question. It's 8.5, Will. 8.5 is the over-under for Wake Forest. I just don't know about Wake Forest. North Carolina is another one that's like 7.5. And I don't know. So things are trending in the right direction for Jaden Greathouse, who announced he's going to be announcing on July the 15th. I do believe an announcement and a date will be forthcoming for Ronan Hannafin. Jason Moore is going to be making a decision soon. Something happened over the last week to where Ohio State is now being crystal ball. And honestly, looking at their class on the defensive line, they need him a hell of a lot more than Notre Dame needs him with the guys that they already have in tow on the defensive line.
Yeah, I'm not impressed by what Ohio State is doing. They got that splash of 3 receivers, but not even the guys in his recruiting class believe he's going to stay there. So, Ohio State is kind of flailing, man. They need something to get them going. They can't ride on the success of last year or one guy going into this year. I think we've had a lot more wins on a public opinion status than Ohio State, even though it doesn't mean much. Psychologically, it means a lot because Ohio State is 100% worried about what we're doing. I'm 100% convinced that Ryan Day is checking his 247 news, hearing about what's going on at Notre Dame. And I already know he's 100% nervous because he can't dress better than Marcus Freeman. So I think there's a lot of momentum that's not talked about going into this Ohio State game that we have to keep bringing up that are good points. Outside of the swag and the intangible factors, on paper, we look better than Ohio State. Maybe not at every of the right positions, maybe not at quarterback, maybe not at a receiver here or there.
Yeah.
But from a foundation, oh yeah, we toe for toe. I was telling somebody online the other day, I said, give me a team that's majority, let's say 70% of the team running between 4.5, 4.6. That's a championship team right there. And I think because the way Marcus Freeman is built, these two-way players that are athletes, you got a lot of speed on that team that maybe not be the fastest, but it's enough to make a quality championship team.
Mike Sullivan says, I'm buying Shaun a month of breakfast at Avgo when Purdue chokes. Hey, I'm all for that.
I don't know.
Oh, it's a Northwest Indiana thing, bro. You wouldn't. You too far away in South Bend to know anything about Avgo, bro. You don't know nothing about that. You don't know nothing about those are GC type blessings right there, bro.
Okay. Keep getting blessed like that, man. I'm telling you.
Whether it's the red cakes or their version of the red velvet pancakes or the carrot cake pancakes. It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good either way. And the omelets are like the size of your head.
Done right.
Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. So when you actually decide to come to Chicago, I think you run when you get close to South Bend. I don't think he wants to come to Chicago, LL. I keep telling him I got him whenever he comes here. He good.
I love Chicago, man.
We can go to the hood. He good. I got you.
Look,
I got you.
For what? I don't want to go over there.
I know you better have me when I go to Dayton.
Oh yeah. Dayton is straight. You can go anywhere in Dayton. We go to a Dayton Dragons game, man. Best professional, semi-professional team in the land, man.
Man, I just want to know, did you make sure you told grandma that I'm coming?
Oh, we got the meals already up there.
Okay.
Ingredients is ready to go. We just got to throw it in the pot, butter the pan up, get the skillet going.
She mess around, do something like some oxtails or something. I might.
Look, you might have to get a little condo in Dayton, man.
I might have, yeah, dude. That might be an investment. Might be a local investment.
Straight up.
Stay next to Mama Malik, Mama Zaire. Hey, we appreciate you guys so much, man. You guys make Lefty podcast what it is. And tomorrow, I think we're going to have Marshall Pritchett, Wes Pritchett's son, 24 wide receiver, 4-star. He came to Notre Dame on a visit recently. He was not offered. He's also going to Clemson's camp. He has some D1 offers, some Power 5 offers. Man, we're going to have him on because he's Notre Dame legacy. So it should be a great conversation. We'll get into it with him and ask him what it was like, touring the campus with his dad, who's a legend, member of the last national championship team. So we'll get at it tomorrow. You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty story? Petty Junction.
That's right. Petty Junction. Each and every day brought to you by Onora Whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. Pettiest story of the day. Someone said, did something, or just acted a plum fool. Oh, man. I No, I'm putting Chet Holmgren on the petty train, bro.
Oh, man.
Because he really looked out like he was playing with kids out there yesterday.
I'm not buying it.
You don't have to buy it.
I'm not buying it. But it is funny that he out there. You don't really see the confidence of a guy like Chet Holmgren. Like
he believes in himself. You know what I'm saying?
He really does.
Yeah, he does.
And it's like it's kind of refreshing, even though you like, man, you have no idea what you about to get into. That's what it feels like. It's like, man, I love that you thinking you got this, but man, you got to say that to Rudy Gobert, Embiid, Durant, Giannis every night. So, I'm glad to see him not be scared. That's the best part.
Chicago White Sox go on the petty train for that 8-5 triple play the other night, not knowing to tag up on the fly ball. Bro, they driving me crazy, man. They driving me crazy. That's why I've been rocking the LA hat all week.
Yeah, because you had to disassociate. You had to run across
the
country.
Man. It's almost like I'm a glutton for punishment, bro.
Like you just can't not.
I keep watching.
That's how I feel about the Browns.
They play at 1 o'clock. They play at 1 o'clock today. And I'm going to watch.
Oh, yeah. Because it's like you're sick because you want to watch because you know they're gonna mess up and you're gonna be mad as hell. But you want them to win at the same time. Like they're gonna get all the way down to the last inning, some crazy error gonna happen.
Bro.
They're gonna lose by like a grand slam or something crazy.
I just can't do it, man.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Shout out to EA Sports. I mean, not EA, but 2K getting it right for that 2K23. They put the right person on the cover.
I heard it was alternate covers. You can rotate goats. You can put LeBron.
I'm just saying, but that Elite Edition, though. You know what it is. That Elite Edition. You know what it is, bro.
Yeah. Hey, putting Kevin Durant on the petty train too, by the way, since we talking basketball.
All right.
Because what is that? Come on, Kevin. You're running. Like Shannon Sharp said, you're a runner, you're a track star. You're gonna run away when it gets hard.
Kevin Durant is the dude in high school with the curly hair, nice complexion that everybody liked, but he never committed to anybody. Like literally every 3 weeks he would be with another cheerleader, then he would go with a nerd, then he would go with the other girl. Dude, that's just who he is. He's never satisfied because he's so insecure.
It's got to be something deep, don't it?
He's so insecure, man. He's looking for validation.
And you can see it, though. That's what's so crazy.
Yeah.
You can see it. It's like, all right, Kevin. Come on, dog.
Yeah, he's looking for validation. And
You're the best player in the world that ain't good enough.
Come on, man. Weird. The fact that he connected himself to Kyrie Irving. I don't know what
Kyrie was mad he didn't get the Supermax. Playing 80, what he played? 52 games, something like that.
Dude, Kyrie is dumb to think he was gonna get the Supermax. Did you think he was gonna get the Supermax?
If that's the market, I don't think you should ever slow down the market.
Yes, we know. That's the way you see it.
Well, that's the way Josh Allen sees it and his agents. That's why he's stealing money from Buffalo every year. So, you know.
I saw an interesting debate, man. I thought the conversation was petty. And maybe I missed it. Were you a Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera?
Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera.
Because I thought Christina Aguilera was black. I thought she was just super light skinned. Who was it that? It was Christina Aguilera and Christina Milian. I thought Christina Aguilera was black for a long time.
Really? Mm-hmm. If you just listen to a voice, it can be left up in the air.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can get that.
Like, she wasn't like a Pink, you know. But she wasn't a Kelly Clarkson either. Like, she could sing some stuff. You'd be like, oh, okay. All right, I heard you, you know.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm not that dude, right? And I purposely don't choose what the masses choose. So I was never going to go with Britney. It was always going to be Christina. Just like if you ask me somebody from Destiny's Child, I'm choosing Kelly. Like, I'm just not choosing Beyonce. Because I know everybody else wants Beyonce. So I'm cool. I'm cool with, I mean, that's a pretty good second choice. I'm not mad at that.
No, that's a great second choice.
If that's indeed a second choice.
That's like you saying you taking Carrie Hilson over Beyonce. That's borderline hater right there.
No, it's not hater. I'm telling you what my frame of mind is. I'm just, I don't follow the masses, bro. Like, I wasn't a big Halle Berry. I wasn't in on Halle like that.
Okay.
Like
I was more Nia Long. I was more Nia Long than Halle.
Yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When Robin Gibbons was big, I wasn't on Robin Gibbons like that.
Interesting.
Nah. Now, I like underdogs. I love underdogs. That's why I don't know about you, I love watching what people call B movies, specifically with black talent, black producers and directors, because I want to show them love. Smaller budgets, and if you show them love, they might get an opportunity for a bigger budget film down the road.
And you know what's crazy? I like Omar Epps, his big budget films as opposed to his B budget films, interestingly. But I like a lot of black actors B budget films than their A budget films. But Omar specifically stood out when you said that. I only like his A-list stuff. The stuff he be popping off on Netflix and Hulu. I'll be like
with me alone.
Yeah, you ruining my love for you, man. It's like you just made that movie yesterday or something. Come on, man.
Oh my God. Dude, that dude he has been part of some classics.
So you doing these little throw off, one off, like Netflix specials. It's like, come on, man. You better than that.
Somebody said, shout out Esther Roll. You a fool for that NWJ. Oh my God. No, but seriously, man. Jay Reed is one of my favorite movie characters of all time, bro.
Really? You like Jay Reed?
I love Jay Reed.
Yeah. Okay.
That was one of my favorites. Most people go to Juice or Omar and some other stuff.
But Jay Reed, you got.
I think he's involved with this. The Wood, they made it into a series.
Oh, is it gonna be like HBO or something?
Yeah, based off of the movie. So they have a really good cast in it too. So I think that's coming up in another month or so.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check
You ain't no pop, Jay Reed. All I did was try to help you, dog. Hey, that might have been LL's best. That's one of his best acting jobs too, bro.
Oh yeah, because he fit it.
It was
I can see you doing that.
Yeah, he probably had to cleanse for a month.
Fake religious, but hardcore dude.
He probably didn't go home.
That's a power religion to do crazy stuff.
Wait a minute. Chris Davidson said, wait, Christina Aguilera isn't black?
I could have sworn.
Dude.
That was like the Christina Aguilera, Christina Milian, they all was kind of Sierra. I thought they all was in the same.
I thought Christina Milian would pop a little more.
I think she was an industry baby, so
I thought she would pop. Now, you also have those, as we get ready to close, that are only certain projects. Like they only really catch your eye.
Like Sweetie.
Movies. Yes.
Oh, you mean like other movie stars?
No. Like I'll give you an example. Regina King.
Regina King got good movies though.
No. I'm saying there's certain films you watch. Oh, dude, acting wise, she's the best.
Good. Oh, for sure.
But it's like
matter of fact, she was a really good actor in that the Western on Netflix.
Yeah, on Netflix.
That was pretty big.
The Harder They Fall.
Harder They Fall. She was great.
Yeah.
Great.
I can't help, man. I'm gonna go watch the Boondocks when we get done.
She was a lot of voices in that.
Heck yeah. Yeah, she's absolutely fabulous. Shout out to Pam Grier. Somebody said.
Yeah, Regina King.
For me. Yeah, I wasn't really big on some. I was big on early Sanaa.
When she was in the movie with Denzel, that was it.
Oh, you talking about the Out of Time joint?
That was the only movie I really liked Sanaa Lee. I was like, who is that? She ain't made no movies like that since, so
I mean, her character was really sultry, provocative.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, manipulative, seductive. So, I can see that. But like Sanaa in like The Wood, people forget she was in The Wood at the end.
She was in The Wood at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I might have left Inglewood to move to New York, dog. It might have happened. It might have happened. So that's the question of the day, man. That's the question of the day. Give me a top 3 actors and actresses that are not top of the line. Not A-listers like Denzel, Richard, the usual suspects.
The usual. So now we ain't got that many now.
No, definitely. That's like that opens up a supply for us that's to choose from. Yeah, Kerry Washington. I really wasn't a Kerry Washington fan either.
You know what? I did not like Harry Scandal. I just thought it was like a Viola Davis and How to Get Away with Murder. It's like you too many characters. You too much of a character,
Yeah, you know what? Yo, I'm glad we brought this up. Shout out to you, Coach Vic 7. Yes, In the Garage,
Great
Regina
movie.
King on Enemy of the State. When that cat Will came back and she was in the garage with the dog wearing that lingerie. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Coach B. That's a good call.
Hey, Coach B, remember the good moments of the movie,
Yeah, that's dude. Come on, man. Y'all cats, y'all follow the lead too much, man.
Yeah. She's not that great of an actor to me.
Really?
I didn't really, like I said, my favorite movie with her is where I feel like she played the best role, and I was Out of Time with Denzel. I don't think she fit a role better than that. So it was just hard for me to say. I was grading everything to that role that she did really well in, and I just couldn't get past it.
You know who is, because I'm shocked no one put Taraji up.
Taraji A-lister. She did
Right.
the rocket scientist movie.
She is. Would you consider Megan an A-lister?
No. She lost her A-list. Once she lost
You stupid, dude.
Once she lost her color, she lost her A-list status.
You are stupid, boy. Now, you know who used to be back in the day? What's her name? Joy Bryant? Is that her name?
That sounds familiar. I gotta see her face.
She was in Get Rich or Die Trying.
Oh, yeah. Okay. She had a lot of movies, but she wasn't like as popular. But she was cute too.
Yeah. Get Rich or Die Trying. What about Zoe Saldana?
Man, Get Rich or Die Trying is the movie.
I'll give you this. I wouldn't date her, but she would be my girl that I would kick it with every weekend. Regina Hall. I would kick it with Regina Hall every weekend, dude.
She's goofy.
But guaranteed fun. You know her crew is tight.
Yeah. Regina Hall be fun.
She'd be fun, man. That's like your girl. Like, man. Okay. I know all your crazy stuff, so I don't want to date you.
Yeah, I don't want to date you. But I know you cool, though. We gonna have fun.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, man. Most of all, enjoy your day. We'll be back tomorrow.
Like and subscribe.
Definitely. Hit the share button. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And we'll have Marshall Pritchard, 24 wide receiver, on LL tomorrow. Make sure you spend it different today. You heard?